broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, I'm Jon Manganello and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. This is the recap for Season 2, Episode 4 of American Crime. And we have a very, very special guest here with us today. The wonderful and talented Mr. Kirk Moore. Kirk Moore, welcome to the AFTERBUZZ panel.
Thank you for having me.
We got a little dance party going on our microphones. You guys hear that? I'm so happy to have you here. And before I introduce you, I do want to tell you that I have never seen more positive feedback on an episode of television on the internet ever, because I am a Twitterer, right? I'm always on Twitter, and I'm reading the comments. I do this, obviously, so I see a lot of what people are talking about. Let me read you some things that people are saying about this specific episode. Someone on Twitter says, "It amazes me how close American Crime TV pushes the limits for what's allowed on primetime. Great writing, Kirk Moore." A guy named Dave says, "American Crime is by far the best network drama I've seen in years." And Felicity Huffman, obviously one of the stars of American Crime, says, "Oh Lord, that was a brilliant, heartbreaking scene. Quote, did you go there to have sex with him?" So obviously everybody is on your side. They're loving your writing. They're loving your words. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And second of all, I want to ask you so many questions, and we will get to those questions. But first, I want everyone to introduce themselves. Is that okay?
Of course.
All right, Erica.
Hi guys, I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, and Instagram at Erica Renee D.
Okay, and Erica J?
Hi, I'm Erica J. Green, and you can find me on all social media at Erica J. Green, and that's Jaye.
And then Kirk, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at KirkWrites79, and Instagram is also KirkWrites79. So yeah.
Great. And you guys can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Johnny Mangs. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. We're going to start with a recap, and then we'll ask you some questions about the episode, what it was like writing, and what it's like writing for American Crime. I want to start at the very beginning of the episode. We have Leslie, well, actually, at the very beginning of the episode, we have a beautiful, beautiful speech, that opening monologue.
Yes.
I know you liked.
I loved it. Did you write that, Kirk?
I did not write the opening monologue. A young man named Kevin Cantor, he wrote that opening poem. He is a spoken word artist. We happened to come across a spoken word piece that he did online called People You May Know. And it was a poem about how he saw the person who raped him on Facebook in the People You May Know section. Wow. So he is a real life rape survivor, and he wrote that poem, and we contacted him. He came out and wrote another original piece for us for this episode. And
do you mind telling us his name one more time?
His name is Kevin Cantor.
Kevin Cantor. I'm gonna look him up. That's great.
Yeah,
It's powerful.
really great.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful. And do you guys have any initial thoughts off of that opening segment?
Well, first thing, I just want to make sure. So guys out there watching, Kirk wrote last night's episode. That's why he's our special guest. And it was brilliant. And I want to say,
I'm sorry. Yes.
And I want to say that. Not just because you're here, but I promise you guys, because we are pretty we're pretty critical when it comes to episodes. This is the first American Crime episode where I actually cried. Like I shed a tear, and I was like, no, not my mascara. It's too expensive.
I agree. My mascara is expensive too.
I can see you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can, but it was brilliant.
I love how I didn't even say you wrote this episode. I mean, I did say it through reading those tweets, but I was just too overwhelmed with how
overwhelming.
incredible it was.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the intro, the opening?
I thought it was absolutely so powerful to start the episode off with that monologue, which really shows what guys are actually dealing with internally. So I thought it was an amazing way to begin that episode. And I noticed that y'all in the episodes a lot with Felicity Huffman's character, Leslie. So I love, I see that. I see you.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah, it's just ends powerful, begins powerful. So yeah, kudos.
And I wonder about that. I've noticed that. Last week she bookended the episode. I feel like this week she did as well. And it's weird because you have this really flawed character who is in a position of power. Same as last year, right? She played an equally flawed character. And I'm curious about that. What is the motivation behind having her sort of have the first word and the last word? Or is that just a coincidence?
Sort of a coincidence. It's a matter of a lot of the action, especially in some of the early episodes, it comes through her because the stuff is coming at the school. So she's there to protect the school and its name. And then when the information, when it comes, she's the first person on it. And then it just so happens that, like last week, it ended with, hey, we found, and, that set it off into some, now it's kind of that thing where, I don't know if I can curse, but shit rolls downhill. So then the next episode we watched it roll downhill, and had to start with her going on Dan, and then and then now leading, and now she has to clean up the mess by the end of the episode. And
I also want to say, and then we'll get back to the recap, but I also want to say that personally this season is really speaking to me. After last season, I know you didn't write last season's American Crime, but Erica and I were both on the panel for that, and we were like, I said last year, I hope there's a gay character next year, because American Crime does a really good job of including so many different types of people, and I felt like that was what was missing last year. And then my wish was granted. I got this season, and I'm telling you, like, people are talking about how the depiction of gay teens is unlike anything we've ever seen on television before. There is a Yahoo News article called "The Depiction of Gay Teens on American Crime is Unprecedented on TV." And I'll send you the link to that article because it's really good and very complimentary to this episode in particular. And what I really liked about this episode is that no gay characters in this show are victimized in a way that I've seen on like the Yahoo article talks about how on Glee you have the gay characters and they're being bullied and that's it, and it's like the bullies are mean and the gay people are victims or martyrs or whatever. And I think we are not equal as a people, and I'm speaking, I probably shouldn't speak on behalf of gay people, but I'm going to say, as a gay man, I like to see real depictions of me and my people, and I feel like we're getting a real gritty, difficult depiction. It's not just gay people playing victims. Gay people can be villains as well. Gay people can be complex. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is like showing three-dimensional characters and making sure that you see that there's no one set black person, there's no one set gay person, there's no one set woman. Everybody is different, and all these people are sort of living their truth, whatever that is, and we want to just make sure that we put that out in the best way that we can. So cool.
I just wanted to say I especially enjoy how y'all show the internal how they're dealing with it. Like the parents are like, it's okay, you could have came out to us, why are you doing it, did you choose to keep it a secret and go this way when we would have loved you regardless of, and how in a child's mind you think so much on it, they put so much emphasis on it, and they're thinking, like he said, he'd rather take his life than deal with the reality of the situation. Like, I'm gonna come out gay, I'm gonna lose this and that. That wasn't the reality. That, who knows if that would have happened, That's where he took it in his head. And I love how the parents were like, why didn't you just come and speak to us? So I love how they're showing it again, like you were saying, from that aspect, not just showing like the victim side. So I just wanted
it was a tragic coming out in a way. And again, I'll show you that article. It talks about these things. So at the beginning of the episode, back to that, we have Leslie talking to the coach, Timothy Hutton's character, saying, you got to figure out who on your team is lying, because someone's lying, and either they fess up or we're gonna get the police come in here. This is gonna be a big deal. Someone needs to just admit it. And Leslie actually in my mind, was behaving correctly. You know, sometimes she behaves correctly, sometimes she doesn't. And I don't know her motives here.
I agree with that.
I thought it was interesting that she was finally like, wait, we have to do this correctly. Maybe too little, too late. I don't know.
And I agree with that too, Johnny. I for the very first time in this season, I felt that we saw the headmaster, her last name is Graham, right? Headmaster Graham. I felt like we saw Headmaster Graham show true compassion. I feel that in other episodes we've questioned, as you said, Johnny, we've questioned her motives. We didn't know if she was pushing her own agenda or if she was really being sensitive and compassionate to the actual possibility that there might have been a rape. Beginning of the episode, I finally believed that she had true empathy. But then fast forward to the end of the episode and forget about all of that.
No, not even fast forward to the end. Then a little later on in the episode, she's with her boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend, yes. And it's talking about the theater and this exciting thing coming up for the school. And the boyfriend's like, wait a minute, how are you talking about this when this much bigger thing's happening? So I don't know that she always has her head on straight, but in that moment, what are your thoughts on this?
She always has her head on straight. That's the thing. She's always thinking. She's always. I mean, the thing about Leslie is that she wants to stay a step ahead of everyone in this process. It's just like if you remember like a couple episodes, she's like, we don't want to deal with the LaCour family. You know what I'm saying? Like she's always thinking, and that is what makes her such a great character, because she is always trying to think of what everyone else is doing. That's why last week it was such a shock when the cop brought that to her, because she was not thinking that was about to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, she is a chess player. You know what I'm saying? And she plays it damn good.
She does.
She plays it well.
Yeah. And then we have the coach. Why can't I ever remember his first name?
Dan.
So Coach asked the team to speak up, or warrants are coming. He says, basically, it's time to just fess up. We need to be transparent here. And then a fight breaks out in, I don't know if it was a locker room or the area where they were meeting. And I'm thinking the entire time Eric looks scared, right? Like he's in the back sort of keeping to himself. This whole time, and by the end of the episode, we kind of know more about what Eric did or did not do, but you can tell there's something going on with Eric.
I just wanted to highlight something too with Coach Dan. I think it's interesting how he goes about handling the situation from the beginning to end. He's very hesitant. He doesn't want to like confront the boys when you're an adult, and you know this is a serious situation that needs to be handled in a adult-like manner. I feel like there's an underlining there with him that either something he's dealt with, or I feel like there's something there.
Do you really?
I don't know. I do.
Spill the secrets, Kirk.
I can't. You know, I mean, he loves his boys. He loves his boys, and he wants to protect them. And I think that, you know, he's gonna go a long way with that. He really. I mean, whereas Leslie is about Leland and the school, Dan is about those boys. And you see in that first scene, he is sticking up for the boys.
He is.
Even while Leslie is saying, hey, we have to bring someone forward. He's like, I don't want to do this. They told me this. I believe them, and foolishly, in a way. But you know, he trusts them, and these are boys that he's been with for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And so he feels that he knows them, and for some of them, he's like their parent. You know, when that first episode is like, you know, growing up in a single parent home and coaches, and so he's their father figure. And he doesn't want to disappoint them. So
see, I find with Dan is the antithesis of what I think I would want a parent to be. And again, I always have to say this. I'm not a parent, so this is my disclaimer. But he on the outside, on the surface, it seems that Dan has everyone's best interest at heart, but then it's all very superficial. He kind of talks at his daughter with good intentions, I believe. He talks at his boys with good intentions and wanting to protect them. But why can you not be, Dan, that father figure, so to speak, that says, Kirk, I know you're going through something, as opposed to like kind of sweeping everything under the rug. So again, I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of adults who think that talking at a situation is talking through it. Dan, so far, I have not seen him really thoroughly talk through anything.
You didn't think he talked through in the hospital scene?
I was just gonna say, thank you.
In the hospital scene?
I was gonna say, Eric came out for the first time ever today.
And then he walked away. He said, he told the father, "Go talk to your son." Really?
But
Really,
he's
dude?
right, the dad should talk about it.
But here's the thing. I think in school systems, parents put the onus on administrators and teachers to take care of their kids. Administrators and teachers put the onus on the parents to take care of your kids. Who's taking care of the kids? So he's on his deathbed confessing his homosexuality to a coach, and this dude is like, peace out, go deal with your son. Great writing, but bad coaching.
Wait, let's back up a second. He's not on his deathbed.
She did it for dramatic effect. I see that.
I do understand what you're saying. But however, I do think there's something to be said about Eric coming out to his coach. Yeah. He didn't come out to the principal. He didn't come out to his parents. He didn't come out to the student. Who knows what happened at the party? I mean, I'm sure they know more than we do at this point. But he came out to the coach. I thought that was beautiful. I don't know.
It was beautiful, but again, I wanted Dan
to be more.
He threw you had Dan throwing his hands up in disgust at the boy.
Well, he wasn't. It wasn't disgusted. It's like he didn't know what to say. That is throughout the last 3 episodes, Eric has been very hyper masculine and talking about bitches and and look on my showing Asian bitches on the cell phone, and all that stuff. So it was like, that was the last thing that he expected to hear from him, so he didn't know how to approach it, which is why when he goes and talks to his daughter, he's like, is there anything you want to tell me? Please tell me. Like, don't let it go and fester so long till you end up like Eric. You know what I'm saying? So
I get it.
And I think that is such an interesting part of the episode. Right after he had this moment with Eric, he went and became a better father to his daughter. I thought, because in the first episode,
she didn't think he became a better father.
I know, but here's why I think he's a better father. Because in the first episode, he's filming his daughter, doing that dance.
Kind of creepy.
Maybe
creepy
he's
dad.
Getting more and more in the right direction.
Creepy dad.
I'm glad we're talking about Eric, and we'll continue talking about him. Let's talk about his home life, because we found out a lot about his home life. His parents don't have money for a lawyer. Right? His parents seem to not really get along in a way. The episode starts with him. Near the beginning of the episode, I should say, he goes to his dad's office. Is that correct? And then his mom comes to pick him up. And then later on, his brother is talking about those hot chicks in Miami, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to go to Miami." Now we know why.
West Hollywood, here we come.
Yeah, come on over here.
Throughout this episode, Johnny, I kept thinking this episode should have been called "Sins of the Parents," because all of the children are being affected in some way from their parents, what their parents are doing, how their parents are living.
Totally.
You see we're finally seeing a story with Taylor's mom that obviously what she went through is affecting him now. So he can't speak about it. She needs to get her stuff together. So I just thought that was a very interesting way of showing children are heavily affected by the parents in the living situation, what's going on. And I'm glad that y'all are fleshing that out.
Yes.
And I think in the Black community, and maybe in the white community too, we call that generational curses, where from one generation to the next, you perpetuate cycles of adversity. And I just want to piggyback on that, Erica. Generational curses.
Break that generation curse.
Generational curse, yeah. So these kids, unfortunately, are living out their parents' shortcomings in one way or another, especially Dan, his daughter. Dan gets on my nerves, I'm sorry.
I know where Erica stands.
Dan has his heart in the right place.
I'm on
creepy Dan.
I believe that, but he still gets on my nerves. Get it together. You're an adult.
Let's talk about the overdose and Eric going to the hospital. He drinks alone in the bathroom, he takes the pills, and he tries to kill himself, right? I assume. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong about that.
You're right.
Once he's in the hospital and gets his stomach pumped, he's pissed at the coach. He's pissed at Dan for suspending him, which I thought was interesting. He really is more affected from this whole situation than I had gotten in previous episodes. Does that make sense?
Right. Right. I mean, I think that he was very upset that you know, he was the player that was singled out. And, you know, Dana's like, you can always come and talk to me. I'm your coach. I'm your friend. And he's like, if you were my coach and my friend, you wouldn't have suspended me. Now, that didn't come from Dan, though. It came from, like we talked about, it rolls downhill. So that came from Leslie.
Right.
Dan was just sort of doing what he is supposed to do as a teacher, coach, administrator. And so, but Eric doesn't know that. You know, that's the behind the, you know, scenes dealings that the teachers are doing. So he doesn't know that. All he sees is that a person that he looks up to as a coach or father figure, and somebody who, you know, sees something in him that maybe his parents don't see, is that you suspended me. And so, and I think that, you know, that's sort of the way teenagers are. It's like, you know, they take things close to heart. Either they blow stuff completely off, or they take it really, really close to heart. And so I think that he was angry and he was disappointed in the fact that the person that he trusted and the person who has been coaching him and made him co-team captain kind of threw him to the side, and technically because they didn't want to make Terry angry.
Now, did you have carte blanche to, I know you have to keep your characters' storylines consistent with whatever the overall theme of the season will be.
Right.
But how much flexibility, how much leeway did you personally have on creating the outcome of the 42-minute episode?
I mean, television is a collaborative medium, and, you know, so everybody collaborates, but, you know, if it's the episode you write, then you write that, and that's yours, and things are discussed beforehand, and, you know, like you said, there is a plan and sort of a laid out thing, but after a while, I gotta go home and sit in my room and look at my dogs and type on the computer until I finish it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to do that.
You talked about a collaboration. Do y'all sit around the table? I did read that. It's a very diverse room, of course, we all know. And do y'all share stories? Because a lot of this feels so real. I
mean, without getting specific and whatnot, you know, it's very collaborative. Everybody, you know, we come from different backgrounds, different. There's different races, different nationalities in the room, so we do share a lot in hopes of finding what's going to be truthful on screen and on the page, and making sure that we make, like I said before, make these characters well-rounded. So yeah.
I love that about the show.
I want to talk about Kevin and Terry and the LaCroix now, because that was also obviously a big portion of the episode dedicated to them. They speak to the lawyers at the beginning, and parents ask if Kevin can do a polygraph test, but the lawyer says don't do that. And then he, you know, gets in his suit. Kevin gets in his suit and he goes and talks to that room. Are they all lawyers?
Well, one is a detective, and then there's, you know, they have their lawyers there and whatnot. But it's the family lawyer, the detective is there, and
So they're talking to the room of detectives and lawyers, and, you know, Kevin says what happened, and do you guys believe him? What are your thoughts?
He reads the statement.
He reads that statement, and I think. No, I don't believe Kevin. I mean, because he has shown throughout the episode when he presses Terry and says, you know, Mom, you always tell me to be a good man. Why can't we help Eric out a little bit more than we're helping him? And I think that is Kevin's guilty conscience, as well as that's his homeboy. You know, they're captains, they're co-captains. They probably have grown up together. And Kevin also knows that his fingers are a little bit, I'm telling Kirk, as he's probably thinking, she's way off. But Kevin knows that his hands are much dirtier than his parents think his hands are. So I didn't believe Kevin's statement.
How much of that statement actually even came from him? Because it looks like he was reading it and kind of looking at his parents like, how did I say this?
Right. You know, like Terry said, listen, you have the luxury of having some parents with some money, and we can get a lawyer for you and take care of this thing for you, and you just do what we tell you to do. And that's pretty much
that's what you do. Yeah,
he don't want to get in jail. He want to go to NYU. You know what I'm saying? So he wants to be out. He wants to be taken care of.
The moment where Terry says, basically to Kevin, don't worry about Eric. Young white men have the benefit of the doubt in the eye of the law, and I thought that was really interesting. We see that all the time in news and pop culture, and it's interesting that sort of the what we're used to seeing is sort of flipped on its head, right? That's what I love about American Crime, right? You have a poor white boy who needs to, or you have a wealthy black boy who wants to help out the poor white boy, which is really interesting. And Kevin thinks helping a friend is being a man, like what you said, and it is doing the right thing. These values that his parents instilled in him. But do you think that you can help out Eric and also not get your hands dirty, right? Like, if Kevin says anything, is he digging his own grave?
No, you know, Kevin has to protect himself.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
He has to protect himself. And I mean, you know, as you see by the end of the episode, there had to have been a time when when some people were by themselves, and, you know, and there was a part where Kevin is definitely not included. He didn't know anything about those text messages, at least, you know.
True.
At least you don't think so.
Well, yeah. See, I think that Kevin, and maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago we did bold predictions, and I think I made a mention that he and his girlfriend maybe have keys to what happened. But that's neither here nor there. I want to talk about how I like Terry. I like Terry because she is so firm, and I think that she is playing. I think that she is not perpetuating the black bitch stereotype. She's just playing a strong woman who cares about herself, and who cares about her son, and who cares about her family. Right. And I think that it's very smart television to find a dark brown skin woman who has a black son and a black husband, and who is intentional in her decisions, but she still doesn't come off as a bitch. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy that you don't think that she does. I mean, because the majority of the people are
God.
I cannot stand. I mean, she's like, you know, when they put Terry and Leslie sometimes in the same category.
Right.
And, you know, for me, Terry is, you know, she is about her family. Like, do not mess with her family. Do not mess with her son. In the same way that Anne is. Anne just doesn't have the means. And, you know, this season we really wanted to focus on, you know, on families coming together. And families coming together in, you know, tragic situations, or, you know, when things happen. So to me, I don't think that Terry is an angry black woman, or as you know, as you said, the black stereotypical. Well,
she's not a black bitch.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, she's not a black bitch.
Or I don't perceive her as such.
I mean, she has her ways. She has a way that she wants the world to see her family and to see her, and she's not gonna let anything tarnish that. I think there's something good about a person who takes pride in that. My dad was a police officer. My mother's a dentist. They do, you know, I cannot let my father look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get it, and we've had those conversations. You call it kitchen table talk. You know, we've had those conversations in the house. Was like, listen, they ain't gonna do the same thing to you that they do to him, and you need to trust us on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what she's talking. I think she was speaking a real truth in that scene to her son.
And as an 18-year-old, Kevin can't process that looking out for himself or looking out for his own interests doesn't mean that he's particularly betraying Eric. It just means that you're a black man in America trying to go to college. You have an internet record already. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean that you're leaving your friend by the wayside. It means that y'all can be friends in 10 years when this blows over.
Right. Right, exactly.
Because I do want to have time to ask you questions, we're going to hop along to Taylor and Anne so that we can wrap up the recap. Cool. I just want to mention that a lot happened with Taylor in this episode. He switched to a new school. And I'm first of all, I commend his mom for allowing him to do that, because his mom did not listen to him when he said don't talk to the press, but she did allow him to switch schools, which I think was nice. I think they both wanted that for Taylor. Right. Is that a fair assumption?
I commend her for allowing him to finally make his own decisions, because he is coming up to the age of being a man. But I think a lot of her decisions have been misguided and just kind of not really fully thinking about the outcome. That's why I do appreciate Terry. I think Terry fully thinks about the realism of what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen with my son's future and stuff like that. And I think Taylor's mom is just so stuck in an emotional place. Like, I need to nip this in the butt right now so, you know, my son doesn't end up like me. And that's causing her not to think with a clear head. To oust your son in front of his, you know, so-called girlfriend I mean,
it's just so cold.
Well, no, it's interesting.
I mean, yeah,
His beard.
we see now that I know I was saying in past episodes that I didn't think that I thought that she was the beard,
Yeah.
but she actually thought they were in a relationship.
Well, and maybe he feels that way too. The only person who said I'm gay is Eric in this episode.
Right. So
Just because Taylor likes boys doesn't mean that he doesn't also like girls.
True.
Right.
I mean, you know more.
She
than
like,
I do.
listen, nah, you're not doing that to me.
Which is another interesting conversation we could have later, but you know, about the perception. You know, girls can be lipstick lesbians, and we can hook up with each other, and then we can go have sex with a guy, and no one says, "Oh, that girl is gay." But let a guy do it, and it's like, "Wait, you did what with what guy?" So yeah.
No, you're right, and we will have that conversation. I would like to sometime, but I do want to make sure we get through the Taylor Ann storyline. Ann storms in after being given the transcripts of their text messages between Eric and Taylor, and she is pissed, right? And before, is it Evie we're calling her?
Evie, yeah.
Before Evie could even leave the house, Ann says, "Yo, are you gay? Do you like dudes?"
She told Evie to go home. She told Evie to go home. She said,
She got on the couch.
She was funny.
No, Evie was moving too slow. She told Evie to go. She wanted to pass.
I felt bad for Taylor, though.
I mean, yeah, you should. I mean, nobody.
That's a rough coming out.
Yeah, it's very rough. I mean,
That is
in front of your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Oh, by
I mean,
the way, sorry.
and then she should have she wanted that password, and that's the thing, like the password thing. It was one of the things I was like, that is like the scariest thing. Like when you lose your phone, you worry about people breaking your phone. And so like the scene with Eric and his brothers, like, give me your phone, and then the scene is like, this is like our life. This is our life.
Yes.
You lose this, and so like, when she's like, give me your password, your phone, and he's like, no, she's like, forget it. You know what? You don't want to give it to me? All right, well, here you go.
And all the oh man, his mom's gonna see everything. His mom said whacking off, and I was like, oh. My mom, I think, is watching. Thank God she never read any of those texts, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's sort of where the episode ended for Taylor, right? On a really dark note.
That's where I cried. Like that was such a moving is an understatement. It captured, I think, all of the thoughts and nostalgia from being an insecure teen. No matter if you're gay or white or black or straight, whatever. I just remember feeling so insecure and vulnerable at your parents' feet, wanting them to accept you, wanting them to love you, and knowing that in the bottom of your heart they do love you, but you don't really know that because you're an adolescent.
Right.
So that scene wrapped up everything I think that everyone ever experiences in life. You just want to be loved. You want your parents to love you. You want your parents to accept you. Love and acceptance. And both actors in that scene, and Evie before she left, were just simply brilliant. And the writing, of course, is why they were brilliant. But it was amazing. It was.
Thank you.
I cried.
Good. Yeah. I mean, our director, her name is Julie Hebert. She's also a writer on the show as well. And she pulled some amazing performances out there. To be able to watch them just tear into that scene, I was like, okay, yeah, this is nice.
And I thought it was kind of heartbreaking through everything Taylor was going through. He was still caring about his mom. Mom, I didn't want to tell you this because you're dealing with so much. I don't want to put more on your plate than you can handle right now. And that was so heartbreaking. A child shouldn't have that much responsibility.
That's true.
On them. You're the adult.
I agree.
And that's that's what was speaking to me the whole time, sins of the parents, because this is like spinning out of control because of the parents.
Yeah.
So we're going to now go to questions, and there's obviously things we didn't get to on the recap, but I think it's more important while you're here to ask you questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to ask is how you feel about writing for a show that's so difficult and nuanced and really real, in my opinion, gritty. Have you written on other shows, and how does this compare?
Well, so this is my first show.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know.
This is my first
quite a
episode. This
feat.
was my first episode of television.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Round
so
of applause.
This was your
Thank you.
first
This was my
episode of
first
television?
Yes, it was.
Which camera to look at?
I'm not just saying this because you're here. It was a beautiful episode.
Thank you.
That's shocking, but congratulations.
Yeah, so, I mean, when I first moved to LA, I tutored for a while at a lot of high schools out here. So I definitely wanted to make sure that the portrayals of the teenagers were very realistic. You know, like, I love teen dramas. Like, I like The OC and Freaks and Geeks and Dawson's Creek. But sometimes we can get like we can get a very sort of glossy version of what teenagers are, or we get like the I hate you, and and you never was like, well, why do you hate them? It's like, oh, because they're teenagers, so you just have to hate their parents. You know what I'm saying? And so, what we wanted to do is really show a realistic depiction of if the way that teenagers interact with their parents and the way parents try to interact with their with their teens, with their teenage kids. And just, the nature of the show is that from the look, from the way the actors are presented on screen, it's realism, and we really want to show it. We want it to look like real life, and so however that comes out, we hope that you get that and feel that. So I'm happy that
great job.
That's what that's what we're doing. So.
And other than tutoring, what other, I guess, personal experiences that you're willing to share did you draw from when you wrote this episode and when you're in the writer's room in general with American Crime?
So wow, this, like I said, this thing is so collaborative. So there's so many things that come out. I guess for me, and this was a big thing. It was like everyone has a truth in this show. You know what I'm saying? So everybody is living the truth. So whether you think he did it or she did it or their line is like, this person is full out 100% living whatever truth they are, and it's your sort of decision to figure out what you believe and whatnot. Right. So for me, it was sort of like putting things that I've gone through as a teenager. I lost my eye when I was in high school. I got hit in the eye with a bike air pump, and just kind of tapping into the way you feel as a teenager when you're insecure and you don't understand what's going on and you don't know what's happening with your body and things of that nature. And then just to another thing is like understanding, like working in education and just understanding like how sometimes how messed up it can be, and especially like I've never gone to a private school, but I went to public school. But my public school was a little bit, so and I've never went to like an underprivileged school or anything like that. But just to see like the way everything is like a bureaucracy. Everybody has a hierarchy, and just to be able to to put whatever knowledge I had in there. And then also my dad, like I said, my dad's a police officer, so being able to talk to him like how do the police officers and detectives interact with the parents and the students and what the things that they say, and making sure that stuff was authentic and making sure that they said the right things and asked the right questions and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay.
We're getting a question about the young actors, and I'm sure you don't have any part, or maybe you do, I don't know. You don't have any part in the casting process.
I do not.
But I do think it should be noted that these actors are really brilliant, even the unknowns. I mean, obviously, Timothy Hutton and Felicity Huffman are Oscar winners and Emmy Award winners, and Regina King is in it, and a Golden Globe winner or an Emmy Award winner?
Emmy.
Primetime
King is Emmy, yes.
Yeah. She gave a great speech at the last Emmys, actually, for season 1 of American Crime. So you don't have any say in casting, but are you on set and there for that process?
Yes. So we're on. I got to I was there for my episode and watch them tear into those scenes. So it's really great to like see stuff that you wrote, come to life. And the young actors are all amazing. Like all of them were so. And this is challenging material, and the things that they have to say and they have to do is the vulnerability that they have to show on screen, but they were all like game. Like there was no fear on that set from those young actors. So it was really great.
Yeah, I love on this show that the characters say words, and sometimes they're bleeped out and sometimes they're not, and I think that's really important because there's a tendency to whitewash television language, but I would prefer there to be a bleep over a bad word than to just not have it at all, because I think it gives those characters real gritty personalities. Do you have any suggestions maybe for young writers, like how to write an honest and real character?
I mean, I say write what you know. You know what I'm saying? Like I say write what you know, because that's when it's gonna be the easiest for you to get out. You know what I'm saying? At least for drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, write what you know, write your experience. And that's what happens with writers. We share our experiences, we talk about things, and then those things end up on the screen. And so, you know, I would say young writers, you know, of course, you know, if you write fantasy and stuff, then, you know, you don't necessarily know that, but those characters, those are still people. You know what I'm saying? And so put yourself or put who you know in, you know, those episodes. I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, this person, my mother would totally do this, you know.
Would your mother totally do what Anne did? Because that
I don't know that my mother would do what Anne did, but I think my mother would be the type of person who, if something like that happened to me, she would be like, hey, I'm not going to stop until I find out. And even if I was like, Mom, don't, I don't think that she would stop. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that she would stop. I think she would go.
I just had one question. Is there an intentional takeaway from each episode? Because with other shows, you might have an episode or 2 or 3 or maybe half of the season that there's an episode that just moves the story along. I feel like when I'm watching each and every episode, there's a takeaway from it, something that either the teens are dealing with or the parents are dealing with, something that you can leave after watching the episode and be like, man, really think about it and it resonates with you.
Right. I mean, I think that I think there's sort of like episodes that focus you know, more, you know, specifically on certain characters. Like last week it was a lot of Kevin, a lot of, you know, Terry and Michael. This one we learned a lot about Eric. The first episode, it was a lot about Anne and a lot about, so it's like it'll be something like that where you will start to learn who these people are or what you think you thought about them. The next episode, you may find out there's a little bit of things that you were missing, and so it's a lot of it is peeling away the characters themselves and letting them push the story forward and what they want and their motivations forward. So I think that's a lot of the way that we approach this season, in that, okay, this, we want to focus here on this person and this person, and then just making sure that in that same thing that we're moving the story forward and those characters are, you know, staying true to who they are and where they need to be, you know, come episode 10.
Maybe this is like asking you to pick a favorite child, but do you have a favorite character on American Crime?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I have a favorite character.
Or a least favorite even.
Or do you like what one character does? Like, do you like the meat of their story most?
I mean, I would say, I think the most complex character to me is actually Terry. And the reason why I think she's complex is because, you know, I think that people will say, oh my gosh, she's the black bitch. You know what I'm saying? And I think that there's so much more to her and to what she's trying to do. So I think that she is a tough character to write. She's also a tough character to portray. And, you know, and kudos and hats off to Regina King for bringing some realism, because at 1 minute she's sliding that tissue box over to the girl and firing her. But then when she's talking to Kevin about the watch and she starts off very upset, then we get, you know, a fun mother, and she's like, are you having relations? And we get to see a real person, and Regina is just able to do that so naturally. And so I think that on the surface, people can say, oh my God, I hate this lady, but she's really doing what she thinks is best for her and her family.
Did we not know from this episode how she took the phone call in the middle? I'm done with this. She was like, I'm done with this.
Yes. Miss Eric's dad is basically begging.
Yeah. She's like, that was a little mean. Okay, that was a little mean. But the thing was that she's like, I cannot help you. There's no reason for us to have this conversation. I have a job. I need to make sure nobody's firing me.
True.
So, you know, I have to go and take care of my business. You want help from us? We've already sought help.
And sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's like she's already sought it. It's like there's nothing that she can do for him. Let me take this phone call.
I agree. I
in the middle of the
take the phone call. I know. I just want to say as a side note, we never talk about Elvis Nolasco. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
So viewers out there, please forgive us. Like we
and now would be the episode to talk about him, because it was we saw more of him, and unfortunately I know we always put that last, and that's wrong of us. But how do you create a character? Like, how do you have so many main characters and then these side characters? Like, how do you keep track of them?
Well, I mean, like Jon had a really clear vision of what he wanted to do for the show, and so. Excuse me. And so, you know, there was a big thing. We needed to make sure that these public schools and private schools crisscross lives. And so, you know, we have that. But, you know, in Elvis's character, you finally get to see someone who actually is looking out for the students. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody who actually really does care about the students and not saying he doesn't care about the school, but he's actually being like a person.
Like the lean on me principle.
Yeah. Now, clearly, Mateo doesn't see it that way. Mateo thinks that he's being biased and he thinks that he's being picked on. So, but like I said, Elvis is living his truth. He's doing, you know, what he thinks is best for those students and those kids. He wouldn't let those cops talk to everybody herself. You know what I'm saying? He's the one, to me, he's the heart of this, and that he actually really cares about everyone outside of himself. And so many other the characters have personal agendas, whether they're looking out for their family or looking out for their son, and he's really looking out for these students. And you know, with the whole thing about the, you know, the HAFK and the school lunches, he still is putting the students first and trying to figure out what is actually best for the students at his school.
And I like that he's a black man, but with a Spanish accent. So, I mean, I don't know if that's intentional, but
he's Spanish.
He's Spanish, but he has, you know, black skin. So it's like, listen, I'm on everybody's side. So, you know, like you can't play one side against the other, because I am all of you. I represent all my students. I think that was smart.
Do we have one last question before we wrap up?
I was just, since we were on Elvis's character and we don't talk about him a lot, are we going to see more of his character unfold?
You will see a lot of his character unfold. You will see this episode sort of sparks some things that will play out really heavily in the next couple of episodes. And he will, you know, he's going to be in the middle of a little bit of something. Wow. And so, you will definitely get to see him again. Like I said, everybody gets their episode to sort of like tear into, and Elvis will definitely get his chance. And again, I feel like he really is the heart in this story, and Anne as well. But again, like, Anne has an agenda of her own, in the sense that she's trying to get justice for her son, and kind of like even to his detriment, you know, as we saw at the end of the episode. But you know, I feel that, you know, with Elvis's character, he is definitely someone who's saying, I don't necessarily have an agenda other than making sure that these kids get out here okay. And I think that's great.
Cool. Let's do some predictions for the rest of the season in the next episode, all right?
I'll control my facial expressions.
I know, right? So some AFTERBUZZ
TV.
There we go. I thought I was going to have to do after, but, you know, I thought I was going to have to fill in, but okay, thank you there. So I know you can't tell us probably anything.
Yeah, I'll put my head down.
But can you tell us, like, can you hint at it? Is there anything? Can you give like a little nugget, or no?
We have to ask.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, the characters are gonna talk. They're gonna argue. They're gonna fight. You know,
The characters are gonna talk, argue, and fight. Wow, shocking.
So yeah, you know, so that's it. But I'll listen to some predictions. Though.
Okay.
I would love to hear this.
Who wants to start?
Oh, I'll start.
Go ahead, yeah.
This is more just making note of. There was a comment on our YouTube from Underground Productions mentioning how Leslie kind of needs to be arrested for obstruction of justice, and I'm interested to see if she will be kind of drugged into this case from the way she's dealing with it. So when he said that, the flag went off to me like, she is being a little interesting the way she's handling this whole situation. Is this going to be a downfall for her? So I'm not looking at you. I'm just looking for her.
All right, Erica Renee Davis.
I'm going to make a very generic prediction, because after last night's episode, I don't think I have any intelligence to stand to rival what I just watched last night. So here's my very vanilla pedestrian prediction. Like last season 1, everyone gets upset when we talk about it, but like last season, I don't think we will ever find out what really happened. I don't think we will ever find out if it was consensual.
I know what you mean, though.
You know, we will never ever know. We're gonna be left sitting on the edge of our sofas, pointing fingers, just like in Making a Murderer. Like he did it, he didn't do it. It was consensual, it wasn't. That's my generic prediction.
That's really good. See, this is I don't have so much of a prediction.
Look at him.
Kirk.
No, but it's a good point. There are so many similarities between season 1 and season 2, and unfortunately, if the end is anything like season 1, which by the way I love the end of season 1, but you're not going to get that juicy answer.
Oh, that makes me mad.
You know, it's about the reactions to the crime and not the actual crime itself, and it's about the fallout. But you know, who knows? We may surprise you.
My actual prediction though is I think that the 2 kids, both Eric and Taylor, who have been outed in this episode, are gonna face some backlash for that. Oh gosh, I feel for them. I worry. They're like my own. You guys, before we officially say goodbye, I want to make sure we all plug our handles one last time so we can keep the conversation going.
I'm Erica J. Green. You can find me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff at Erica J. Green.
I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, and Instagram at Erica Renee D.
I'm Jon Manganello. You can find me at Johnny Mangs on Twitter and Instagram. And Kirk, again, where can we find you?
I am on Twitter, Kirk Wrights 79, and on Instagram, also Kirk Wright 79.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was great.
Do you write another episode of the season?
I have one episode.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will keep talking to you on Twitter and use hashtag ABTV American Crime so that we can all stay connected. Thank you so much for watching us. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Are those of the hosts only, do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.